friends, it's Nancy, and I'm here to do a flip through of my most recent journal. It's called Cherry Square, and I created this journal by using a vintage book that was published in 1926. So this was something new for me, a lot of fun. I wanted to copy my crafty crush Catherine and do a lace collage on the front, on the actual cover. And I'm really happy with how it turned out. I used some vintage pearl buttons that I've stitched onto the cover, and I've sewn right through the cover with some gold thread. It has 7 signatures, a total of 224 pages of varying sizes. So let's get a look at this. Some scrapbook papers have been used. All of them have been tea dyed so that the colors are a little more muted, fitting in with the 1926 sort of era, and providing some color on the back of the scrapbook papers. There's only one scrapbook paper per signature, sort of an anchor page. So the front cover, I have a tiny little envelope here from 1926, which is the same year as the book was originally published. And I've just stitched that on as a little pocket. And this is a postcard of a picture of this beautiful girl with her long hair. That's probably much earlier than 1926, but come on, you. Oh, I've got, I just noticed, I have my law office jewelry on. I always go home with rubber bands on my wrist. This I cut from the original title page of the book, and I've just added a little bit of vintage trim there. Lots of hand crocheted vintage lace along the edge of some of the pages, and I've added this little charm here, so there's some beads and a little key, just and you know, just a little bit of something. So let's get into the insides here. So you can see that this piece of scrapbook paper has been tea dyed. This is some wrapping paper, some I think that's tracing paper, some ledger. I believe this is actually like a fly leaf from a book. This is a little file folder, and I chose the month July because that's when cherry season is. Oh, it wasn't an inside fly leaf, it was a card. So this is an Anna Griffith card. Ledger, this was book fly leaf. Little tag, and now we're on the back side. And also, copying my crafty crush, for the flips, I sewed extensions onto them. So here I took a piece of ledger and I added a book page that has, this is a vintage, I want to say 1930s book, and it's showing different kinds of cherry tree leaves. And I've just pinned on this little postcard. Miss Gabrielle Ray. And I've got a little copper paper clip holding her in there. And I chose her because it has sort of a faint pink color that goes in here. Oh, I forgot to mention I also have a crocheted bookmark. I changed out the ribbon in it so it would match. Here is a little tuck spot that I made with a vintage recipe file index card, and it really good and aged, and it's for pies. So with this tiny little paper clip, I added a flashcard of cherries, and I made this tag out of cardstock. This is a book page out of an old 1930s book about trees, and I just did a little bit of embellishing, and this picture of the young lady in the hat is from a 1911 magazine. So there's lots of actual genuine ephemera in this book. This is a page from an old recipe book. So you would write, it had, it was coil bound, and it had index cards in it, and then it had colored lined paper so you could write your recipes. This is a page from the original book. This is from a book about Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Actually, I liked the picture of the lady with the teapots. Little tag, little ledger page. It's been tea dyed. Some journaling page. Here's another page from that book about trees. This is some more cherries, and it talks about cherries. This is a very old piece of like a composition book or a workbook. So here's another sewn in flip out. This is an image of some cherries. I think this was the front of a card, and I just put it on some ledger. This is also from a card. I just cut that out like a greeting card. Love this color. Another page from the first chapter of Cherry Square. It's from a travel dictionary, or travel diary. This is paper that flowers were wrapped in. Here's a book. This is a flyleaf from a book about Canadian birds. I like that really nice green color. Here's another page from that recipe book. So I've tucked it inside this envelope. And you can see it's also from 1926. And this is a little postcard from 1908. And I thought the pinks and greens were nice for this book. This was the dedication in the book. Consider whether it is better to change and be living than to be unchanged and dead. Strange. Here's another postcard. I believe this is 1913. And I chose this one because it has this faint pink color as well. And it just, oh, and this is another flip out. This is a vintage can label. I got that at an antique store, and I've stitched it to the flippy floppy, and I chose it because it's got cherries on it and it's old. So this is mainly meant for writing. This is like mulberry paper. This is from a address book. This is from a book about Victorian flowers. And in this flippy, here's this is from a children's book, a counting book. And so I've stitched it to the flippy. And this is a postcard, and it just has a girl with a blonde braid sitting in a rowboat. It says Solitude, and I chose it because it has some nice pink colors. And this is August 10th, 1908. So it just tucks in there. I left the threads hanging, but those can be clipped off. This is some grid paper with pink lines. This is a page from, it's a flyleaf from a history book, Canadian history. So I have, I chose it because of the color, the green color. Look how beautiful that green is. And here's another flippy, and this time I've used an index card that's a ledger. I got this at an auction. There was like a little index card box. Well, it wasn't little, it was a long metal one, but it had a bunch of these cards in it. And some of them I had to throw because they were just mangled and filthy. But I was able to save some, and I chose this because of the colors, the green and the red. And for the same reason, I chose this birthday card. Little piece of dust there. It's really highly embossed, and it has this velveteen paper that's also been embossed. And it's a postcard to Joe from Mother, wishing you many happy returns, many returns of the day. So this was to Joe Sherwood, Niagara-on-the-Lake. So it just tucks in that little spot. I'm really happy with how this turned out. Here's, this was quite old too, this book about trees. I believe this was, I want to say late 30s. So I chose the ones that had the cherry trees, chose the pages that had cherries. This is a little piece of parchment, and you can, you know, slip something in there, a photo or a note or something. This is some craft colored paper, but it has a pink grid on it. Here is another flippy outie, and this time I've used another vintage recipe file box index card that has pastry and pies. Because when I think of cherries, I think of cherry pies. And I chose it because of the red color. Here's another Anna Griffith card. This is some tea-dyed. This was lined paper, but when I tea-dyed it, the lines faded to almost nothing. This is tea-dyed check register that Catherine sent me. This is from Coil Bound book. This is a guest book page that's been tea-dyed that Catherine sent me. And the last flippy outie. This is an actual receipt. And I've just glued it to an index card so that there's journaling space there. It's a little pink Rolodex card, and I've tucked that in there. And the sewed on piece there is this photo order form. I'm missing a tag. I have another tag like this somewhere. I'm sure I do. There will be another tag in here that has pink, a page from a book, and oh, yeah, I showed you that one, didn't I? There it is. It's getting all crazy. I knew that there was another one, but I couldn't remember showing it. Come on, Nancy. You can do it, girl. It's a two-handed job. So this is an envelope for ordering photos. And it has it had no flap. It was just like this with the thumb hole. So I've just put this lady in here. And on the back, I have a library card pocket from a vintage book, and a little glassine envelope that has green print on it. And this is a due date card. And I just added a little vintage button. And this ribbon, I inked up the ribbon to like age it a little bit, and I didn't glue it flat. I kind of rumpled it. Actually, that side's not glued down at all, but I kind of rumpled it, and I love that button. So I hope I was able to keep this in frame. I feel like I maybe missed a few things. If you're seeing this journal, it has been listed on my Etsy. It's available for sale. And this journal as well is also still available for sale. It's on my Etsy. So this was my tribute to Beatrix Potter. So I got a lot of nice compliments on this, so I'm not sure why it hasn't moved out to a new home, but for sure I will link the full flip through so that you can take a look. And this is another really big book. This one I think is 1 3/4 inches across. All right, so thank you so much for joining me. We will talk to you again soon.